Hi readers, I'm Jordan.
And I'm Katie.
And welcome to Not Another Heroine, the podcast where we break down the best and worst fictional heroines, those swashbuckling ladies who have to work a little harder than expected for their happy ending.
Want to see what's next on our TBR list? Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Instagram for a sneak peek at upcoming content or to help us pick our next book. I thought we were talking about Queen Charlotte right now, but I think Jordan's intent was to just announce that we're doing a Queen Charlotte episode. So readers, we are doing a Queen Charlotte episode.
Welcome to the episode. This is chaotic. This is called Things Readers Should Know, or listeners. We still flip-flop.
We still don't know.
I don't know what to call everyone.
Yes.
Oh, actually, though, we had that very nice listener comment.
Oh, the Instagram one that I shared?
Yes, that one.
Yes. Someone said that she found her people.
We are here for you.
Yes. We also found our people.
We just want to find people. So
I'm surprised how many people were drawn in for Crown Duel. Like how many people low-key love it. Because I feel like nobody ever talks about it. And then everyone's like, this is my favorite book ever. And I'm like, thank you.
I want to see this on the Instagram reels.
Yeah.
Like this should be a book talk book.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that it should. Instead of, am I going to trigger you?
Oh my God.
What book are you struggling with?
I just growled.
And not in the like sexy fae way, in the like, I am angry.
Yes. Okay. Let's get into it.
Just jump into it.
Hate into it. The Fourth Wing. This fucking book. Okay. All right. I'm going to rage review this book. Not in full because I couldn't get through the whole fucking book.
Ugh.
Okay. So in short, The Fourth Wing is all over Instagram, all over booktok as a, like, if you like X, Y, and Z, pick your favorite fucking fantasy romance book. This is the one you should read next. And then I read the description. I'm like, oh, actually, and I even like I got on the phone with you and I said, hey,
yeah, you were talking about it,
like this looks like it'll be fantastic.
Yep.
And so it's, I think, in short, about this kind of invalid type heroine whose mother and sister are these badass dragon warriors, and they have this weird society system that's broken out. You're either like a fucking healer or you're a dragon rider or you're a scribe. And she, our main heroine, was on track to be a scribe her whole life because she has this like immune deficiency thing. I didn't get far enough to figure out what her fucking problem was.
What her frockin' problem was.
Frockin' problem. God. This is, I can't even speak. I
think that was me fucking up. You were talking normally and I just like frockin' problem.
Anyways, so the heroine is forced by her badass general style mother to compete for the position of becoming like a dragon rider thing. And these riders have bonds with the dragons. Again,
it sounds promising. It sounds like a book.
Right? Doesn't this sound really good? And like in the beginning, she's like trying to trudge up the stairs to have this meeting with her very stoic mother, and she's got like a ruck on, and it's 30 pounds and it's so heavy, and she can barely make it because she's this poor invalid little type. I'm like, okay, great, been there. But what really killed me is there's just too much. You know what? I'm going to put a pin in that, and I'm going to pull up what I sent you about this book.
Oh, God. It was a rant.
It was a rant because I can't do it justice just from memory.
Oh, God.
It was just...
See, because it shows the magic and potentially evil power of TikTok, because as you're talking about it, I'm like, oh, this sounds great. Like, I've seen a bunch of like ads for it. Like, I would probably read this. Well, and it's only Jordan's anger that is holding me at bay.
Just like describing this book, like, oh, maybe I should give it a second chance. Maybe I need to go back and check it out. Okay, so I'm just gonna,
keep this note to yourself forever.
Yes. So just gonna quote myself here. Well, it's a gigantic fucking flop on the Fourth Wing. Reads like fan fiction written by someone whose only exposure to reading has been the most mainstream, turned into movie tropey garbage.
Oh, that's a fucking aggressive like insult. Like that burns.
I hope so. It burned my eyes trying to read that book.
God. Because was it just like cringy?
Very. It just felt like, but maybe it's a style thing. Maybe
I could see that,
because you and I were talking earlier about how a lot of the more recent books have just this kind of
cringy.
The writing isn't very good. It isn't very distinctive, or
that's how I felt. Jumping into another book that I DNF'd, 2 of them. So The House of Beating Wings. This one was like all over TikTok too. And it's on Kindle Unlimited. So I'm like, okay, this is like very low threshold. Like, let me try it. Trash. Absolute trash. It was cringy. It was like not, I didn't even get more than like 3 or 4%. And I'm like, I don't think I can do this. Cause it's just, there's a fine line sometimes with fantasy romance between like cringy and like, oh, this is actually good. And I feel like that's the skill of the author sometimes. But it's like, it's exactly like how you were describing The Fourth Wing. It's just like, this feels like they were following a formula, but not very well. And like, people are just deprived of good fantasy romance recommendations that they're like, oh my God,
they're just latching onto everything.
Yeah. Because in the same vein is fucking, God, where did I write it down?
This is a very much not appropriate for young readers episode.
No, yeah, not at all. Where did I write it down?
Kingdom of the Wicked?
Yeah. Oh my God. Triggered immediately. That's another one that it's just like the character is cringy. She is like meant to be this strong heroine and she's not. Like, it's all just this very like, you get a strong male character who's like, you know, allegedly morally gray. Like, it irritates me when people are described that way and they don't actually do anything that's actually morally gray. They're just like, oh, you know, like, I'll fucking kill you. It's like, that's not morally gray. That's just abusive.
Yeah, that's black.
Yep. Yeah. And, but also that they don't do like, actually, you know, you're like all talk unless you like murder a village and then you have to come back from that, or you murdered a village because, you know, there was a bunch of people using it as like a safe haven, or like they're not actually any morally gray acts. They're just like described that way.
We read a morally gray character, Undying King.
Yep.
There you go.
That is an actually morally gray character. And like, so I'm tired of these books being like, oh, a morally gray character, enemies to lovers. And it's like, this is a formula, not well done, not written well. It's cringy. Like, this is a character that I don't see myself in. The heroine is just like walked all over, but she's like, oh, but I'm, you know, proud of myself and I'm doing hard things. And it's like, you're not doing anything. Like, you're just whining the whole time. And then all of these good things are happening to you. Like, yeah, those were both DNFs. Like the one I got like halfway through Kingdom of the Wicked and I was like, I can't fucking do this to myself anymore. But House of the Beating Wings, I didn't even try.
All right. I'm going to I have to go through because I think both of those are on my TBR list.
Yep. Why is there not an option on Goodreads to DNF books?
I wish there was.
Yeah. Because they keep popping up and I'm like, oh, let me read this. And
absolutely.
I'm like, no, not again.
Fucking again. But one of those Instagram things that have been all over is the where the villain gets the girl.
Because they're never actually villains. No. Like, again, they're just like, because even I will say A Court of Thorns and Roses, like Rysand or whatever, he's not really a villain.
He's the good guy.
He is the good guy. He's not even morally gray. The only thing that he does that's actually morally gray is that the final book, Nesta's book, when he doesn't tell her about the pregnancy. That's the only morally gray thing. So like, you can't describe him as morally gray if it's at the end of the series. Like,
it's kind of like, okay, we're gonna dive down a nerd hole. It's kind of like in D&D, right? Are you chaotic good, chaotic neutral, or like chaotic evil? Most fucking people are chaotic good.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there's very few villains. Those are your, you know, mass murderers, right? Chaotic neutral is another like rare one that you ever see. And I think this is mirrored in all of these heroes and heroines that we see.
Yeah.
It's
what is that book by V.E. Schwab?
The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue? Other one.
That one, I would say he's actually morally gray, if not bad. Did you read that one?
No.
Oh, okay. So he's kind of like fucked up. Like, he is like traumatically abusing this girl throughout their life. But like, and goes back and forth. Like, sometimes he'll do nice things and then he does like sometimes fucked up things. So that's like an actually morally great character. But the other one by V.E. Schwab, God, what is it? Vicious? Did you ever read those?
I don't think I've read any of her books.
Oh,
Do I
okay.
need to?
Yeah. I don't know that you would like it. It's more on the like sci-fi modern day almost, but it's still fantasy. But the two characters, they're two guys that went to college together. They were friends until they had this like they kept on doing experiments to try to turn into like superheroes kind of or have like crazy super abilities. And there was a girl that they were both friends with and both in love with, and then she died, I think, during the experiments, and so they blame each other for it. And so they do all kinds of fucked up things together. It's like that's an actually morally gray character because like you get him doing good things for like this orphan girl that they kind of like adopt, but then he's also doing these fucked up things like trying to completely destroy this guy. So it's like that's an actually morally gray character. That's actually a villain who then could have like some kind of redemption arc. But it's like all of these books, it's just like an actually good guy and then he's mean. So it's like, oh,
it's like a good guy in
bad.
bad circumstances.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good segue, honestly, into discussing like our best heroes and heroines. So like we started off on a really harsh note.
Yeah. We're not normally this angry, I feel like.
We're going to hop around a bunch of different topics this episode, but we wanted to do this kind of mid-season recap review of everything that we've done so far and everything that is to come, and then kind of touch on some of the things we've picked up and some patterns and stuff we've learned. So out of all the books we've reviewed, that includes like the full-length pod books and our pick of the week books. We narrowed down our best heroine and hero rankings. And something I'm seeing like on our best hero list is they're all good dudes. They're all good dudes who do the right thing at the right time. And if they do the wrong thing, it's probably for a good reason.
Yeah. Or what they think is a good reason.
Yeah. So, I mean, do you want to talk about our, like, we have 3 best heroes and two best heroines.
Yeah. So for best hero, we have Red from Daughter of the Forest. We have Poe from Graceling, and then Shivraith from Crown Duel. And I feel like they all kind of have that similar, they're distant, aloof, but they're like kind of emotionally mature. And they like understand that the heroine is going to like go off on some kind of self-denial trip, but they'll just be there, you know, waiting until she figures her shit out.
I think Red is probably the most mature of all the characters.
I would say so. And I also love the fact that he gave up his whole kingdom for Sorsha. Because I feel like that's always the cop-out for these heroes is they like don't actually have to give up anything. They just like get the girl without having to like work. But he's like, no, I love her more than I want to be like king of anything.
Yeah, he's by far, I think, for what we've read now, right? Because so this is only the books we have reviewed on the podcast. Yeah, I would put him at the top. I mean, Crown Duel with Shivraith, I mean, he will always have, I think like many people, he'll have a special place in our hearts. I just wish we got more, like I've said it before, a stronger romance line between him and Mal throughout that book. I want like an adult version of Crown Duel.
Yes.
Let's fan ourselves just a little bit there.
See, this is Victorian Jordan coming out.
Oh, but Danrick.
Oh my God. And I will say, like, this isn't to say that we like the good guys because we've talked about this book so many fucking times. Master of Crows.
Oh my gosh. We haven't.
Oh yeah. Well, we'll come back to that point. Okay. Heroines. Do you want to talk to about our heroines?
I mean, okay. Before we talk about our heroines, we should just say it. Master of Crows.
Okay. Master of Crows.
Just do it.
Yes. The main love interest in Master of Crows, the like hero in that, total anti-hero, kind of an asshole. Like
kind of. He is an asshole. He stabbed someone.
Yeah, he's a super asshole. Very like possessive, jealous, but also is like kind of like mean and keeps people at a distance. So very much a morally great character.
Yeah,
actually well written.
Yep, there we go.
Absolutely. And we both love him. Love that book. So it's not to say that we like the good guys. It's like we like male role characters that are written well.
And welcome to Not Another Heroine, where we talk about the best and worst fictional heroines.
This is true. Yeah.
Anyway, but we bring up Master of Crows because part of the thing we wanted to do on this episode is talk about our future upcoming books.
Woo!
And we we kind of came to the conclusion that if we're going to talk about Master of Crows in pretty much every episode we should probably review Master of Crows.
Yes.
So that is upcoming at a date to be determined.
I will also say, I think we've talked about it, but that book is super raunchy. So those episodes are not going to be for a younger audience, we're going to giggle through the whole thing.
You remember The Undying King and how raunchy that was?
This is like 8,000 times worse.
It's way longer.
All the time. I'm like imagining, I think it's like the first time that they have sex and she has like fucking rug burns all over the back of her. That's literally something that happens in this book.
Yes.
Yeah. So for spicy reads,
very spicy.
We always recommend Master of Crows.
Wait to review this one because you're gonna giggle so much.
I am, absolutely. There's no way to get through that without giggling.
No way.
Yep. But what's the other book that we have tentatively planned that we also always talk about and now we need to actually get into?
This is a big one. ACOTAR.
Yep. We are going to read it. We're going to talk about it. We're not going to hate on it. I feel like there are good things. Like there's a reason that so many people love this book. But we're also going to like be more rational about it, I think, than some people are.
It gets so much attention. And also with the TV show coming up.
Which allegedly seems like it's permanently on hold.
Oh, I hadn't heard that yet.
Yeah, because I guess Sarah J. Maas, which reasonably like wants to stick to her kind of artistic vision for the show and like what she had in the storyline. But the like production company, I think it's Hulu. I don't know who it is, but they are like, no, we want to make it more family friendly. And she's like, no. You do know how much sex is in this book, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if they ever got past that impasse, but there's like a girl on TikTok who does like ACOTAR updates, and that was one of hers recently. So who knows?
That makes sense. I mean, just sell to HBO.
Yep, like, exactly. Just make it Game of Thrones Part 2. Like, done.
That's coming. We do not know yet when, but it will be this season.
Yep. What are we reading next?
Are we going to do our best heroine? I'm sorry. We are so all over the place. We did our best heroes, but you know what? Best heroine is probably a good note to close out on. So we'll save that.
Okay. Yeah. No, that is because that's their whole like shtick.
So back to
full circle.
Back to what we are reading next. As in,
I am so excited for this.
Well, it's not the next episode though.
No, because we're doing Bridgerton episode next.
Yeah. So we haven't announced that. Well, there's your announcement. We
did at the beginning.
I'm going to go to a corner.
Jordan is here, but not here.
Not here. Well, okay. But we did not explain that we are going to be doing more movies and TV shows.
That's true. Yeah. So I feel like Queen Charlotte's going to be the first one that we're going to talk about the TV show. And then at some time in the future, we're going to read the book that Shonda Rhimes and Julia Quinn wrote together for that. And we'll review that book too. But then our next one is a movie that we all know and love. I watch it continually. I purchased it on Amazon so I wouldn't have to rent it a bunch of times. My voice cracked too, but at what cost? We're reading Twilight.
It's Twilight. I love how you said that you bought it on Amazon. Bitch, I have the DVD.
Oh my God. I don't even think I own something that can like play a DVD.
I don't either, but
it's just like an ancient artifact.
I have a whole flip book of DVDs.
Oh my God.
Because I can't get rid of it. Like that's
fair.
Hundreds of movies, but like
that is blasphemy.
I know. Back before it was, Netflix and Hulu were the thing.
That is true. That is true.
I'm dating myself. Anyway, we're doing Twilight.
I'm so excited. The book is going to be hard to get through though.
So this is we thought our podcast needed a villain.
Yeah, we did. And we already talk about said villain enough that he might as well defend himself.
So Rob, who we have mentioned several times, will be guest hosting the Twilight books.
Yep. Which is so fun because I think we've talked about Rob enough. He is very this is going to sound bad, but like intellectually snooty, but in like a fun, endearing way. we are forcing him to read the most cult fiction. Like,
so I bought him a copy of Twilight.
Oh my God.
He was traveling this last week, and I said, you have to read it on the plane because we're going to start recording soon. And he just gave me the most like, are you fucking kidding me look. And so he got back pretty recently, and I said, did you finish the book? He left it at home. He was not a chance in hell he would have brought Twilight, because I made sure I got the very distinctive Twilight cover.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah. No.
Just imagine this man in the airport that has like a scarf on and like a sweater vest, and he's reading Twilight.
Oh, he's gonna kill us. He hates when the scarf thing.
That is fair.
That's a trigger.
Yeah, but he is absolutely a very like dashing Renaissance man.
Yes, that's a great description of Rob. Dashing Renaissance man.
Yeah, he can play the piano. He can
sing too.
What?
I know, it's very annoying.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah. He paints. He reads a lot of
like landscapes, like stuff that should be in a gallery.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we're gonna force him to read Twilight.
Yeah. This is good.
I'm so excited.
I know, me too.
This will be a growth experience.
He's gonna be so sassy.
Yeah, he's gonna be unbearable.
He's gonna use so many words that we can't pronounce.
At least he can like in real time fact check our pronunciation of things.
So what he does do for us already is he'll listen to an episode and then text us afterwards. It was actually this word, and this is how you say it.
I think there was one time that he's like, I have no idea what Katie was trying to say. It's like, I don't know either.
Unrecognizable.
Yeah, fair.
Anyway.
Yes. So that is coming up. And we have 2 other books that are probably going to be after the Twilight books, unless there's one that we stumble across that we're like, we need to do this right now, and it bypasses everything.
Unless listeners, you recommend a book. If
that is true.
Recommend a book, that shoots up right to the top. Yep. That's what happened with Graceling.
Yep. That's why we just like, oh, we're going to read Graceling now. Mm-hmm. So the 2 other books, the first one, Half a Soul.
Oh my God.
So
I love that book.
Fucking cute. Who is it?
I think it's Olivia Atwater.
Yeah.
I think. Is that right?
I'm almost positive. Yeah. Half a Soul.
I mean, I love Half a Soul, but not as much as I love the next book.
Oh, it is Olivia Atwater. And it's called Regency Fairy Tales. So that's Jordan in a 3-word phrase. What's the next one?
The next one is Poison Study.
Such an underrated good fucking book.
Poison Study. Maria Snyder is the author, and if you haven't read it, dear God, read it this
right now.
Yeah,
before we even talk about it, read it.
It's like Master of Crows level for us.
Yeah, but not
cleaner,
as muddy.
Way cleaner.
Way cleaner.
It's YA, new A.
I would say it's like new A, or at least it felt kind of new A when I read it for the first time.
It's so good.
So fucking good and underrated. Nobody talks about it.
I got Shivraith vibes on the hero in that book.
I could see that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But the heroine is very
not Mel.
No, but very like approachable.
New words.
Okay. But like approachable, like reasonable, like very what's the word when you're like, I can see myself in that person?
Relatable?
Yeah.
Relatable.
Relatable.
Sometimes I think we do need a camera just so people can see the facial expressions.
Yeah,
that you make.
I'm gonna get wrinkles probably within the next 2 to 3 years with how much my face moves when I'm talking. As I'm talking right now, my eyebrows are like halfway up my head.
Just a little. Okay, but so just so you can get a visual, Katie has eyes. If you've Zooey Deschanel.
Oh yeah, but Zooey Deschanel,
bigger than her eyes.
Yeah, Zooey Deschanel with like size 1.5 eyes,
massive Bambi blue eyes.
Yep, yeah, and I use them at all points to talk for me. Sometimes in negative circumstances. Yeah. If you want to Google a picture of a Tibetan sand fox, I have been told that's my angry face.
I need to see this.
So yeah, just imagine angry Tibetan sand fox with Zooey Deschanel anime eyes, and that is me.
You're gonna get my reaction. Holy shit.
The timing of that sentence. Oh my god. Yep. Fun fact.
I'm gonna lose my mind.
When I was working in a separate office from Jordan, there was my direct supervisor. He print out a picture of this sand fox and he put it on his computer, and we were facing each other across the room, and there would be times that he would look at the little fox picture on his computer and then look up and see it in real life.
Please, dear God, listeners, look up Tibetan fox. This is Katie.
Yep, it's literally.
This is angry Katie.
Yep. When I see another TikTok that says, enemies to lovers, morally gray character, and it's not, this is my face.
I'm sure you can find a clip of a Tibetan fox so you can put it on a reel.
Perfect. It's like, no,
done.
That is not.
Solid.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
We got derailed
a little bit. But that's the books that we have scheduled.
So the next episode will be Queen Charlotte, and then Twilight, Half a Soul, and then Poison Study. Yes. And then at some point, we will read ACOTAR and Master of Crows.
Yeah. I almost want to read Master of Crows before we read ACOTAR.
Yeah.
I just love that book.
Oh, I didn't put that in a particular order.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Master of Crows. If not immediately after Poison Study.
And I also think we should read ACOTAR and A Court of Mist and Fury together.
I agree. I feel like that should be a 6 episode kind of, and I feel like our listeners probably agree too, because they're almost written as a duology, book 1 or part 1 and part 2.
That's how I read those two.
Yeah, and I did too.
Really feel the need to read. I read the book 3. I don't remember what happened in book 3.
I don't think I did.
Yeah,
I'll be honest.
Oh, can I just rant a little bit on the whole booktok Instagram bullshit? Why are we obsessed with Nesta's story?
Because it's sex. So this might be a controversial take, but I feel like women are so deprived of porn that's written for women that we have all of these books that kind of cater to that almost. And so people are like, wow, well-written porn with actual emotional connection. And they're like, I love this more than anything. But it's I feel like we can do better for women.
Yeah, way, way better. You could Master of Crows.
Yeah.
Great example of better, a whole better story.
Yep.
An actual story and not just sex scene after sex scene.
Yep. Which I will say there's a time and a place for sex scene after sex scene, but Master of Crows has sex scene after sex scene, but there's actual stories and a reasonable development of those. It's not just here's a half-assed story so I could write sex and make more money. Mm-hmm. That felt very mean.
Wow, that's meaner than you normally go.
That felt very mean and not good.
You channeled my energy.
Is it
on
not? I did. That was angry Victorian woman.
That was Tibetan fox.
That was the Tibetan sand fox popped out. But yeah, controversial take. But how about we just write better porn for women so that we can have actual books that are enjoyable.
Better porn for women. We don't mean 50 Shades of Grey.
No. Okay, so yeah. 50 Shades of Grey, I don't think is a good portrayal of BDSM relationships. 100%, if that's what you want to do and you have consent from your partner, awesome. Do not use 50 Shades of Grey as your textbook for that. Maybe seek out better sources of information.
I can't comment on it because I never read it.
I read the first one and questionable. Practices that's not a safe relationship. That's toxic and not a fun way.
Yeah, do better.
Yep, just do better. Just write porn for women instead of just aggressive, angry
fucking. So I have porn for women, the Ladies Tutor. We talked about it.
Oh yeah, it's a bodice ripper or something.
It's way more than bodice ripper. Well, okay, so actually I'm gonna look it up, and then what do we have to go over next?
I think we're almost.
We have some discussion.
We have some discussion points, which is really just us raging about things. But when don't we do that?
We do have to evaluate all the books for all those categories.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, literally the most important thing that I just skipped past.
Oh, actually, speaking of, sorry, porn for women got me derailed. Wait, I was thinking of books that I may or may not have read that fall into that category. I don't know that I've ever finished a book by this author because I think I started reading it too young and I was alarmed. But
that's fair.
I think Beatrice Small writes.
Beatrice Small.
I think I tried to read one book by her and it was probably fine. The scenes were so graphic and I was too young for them.
That's fair. I feel like I have seen these covers. A Love for All Time, I'm almost positive I've seen. Interesting. Because I feel like women are also shamed too about reading these. What's Allie Hazelwood? So I don't think you read a lot of modern romance. Allie Hazelwood, The Love Hypothesis. That was smut. That was extremely graphic detail, like raunchy as heck. But it was like well written, I thought. Like don't shame people if they're reading these cute romance books. Like just let women live their life without making fun of them.
Right.
And I say women inclusively. That means anyone that identifies as a woman.
Exactly.
I just want to say that.
Well, so I can see there's two sides of the argument, right? Because a lot of people get up in arms with like erotica, basically, right? Like, oh, you wouldn't watch your porn in public, but like it's okay for a woman to read 50 Shades of Grey on a bus, right? There's a line.
I could see that.
Right. This is why they make those like little book covers that you can slide.
Full send back to the 90s.
Also why Kindles exist.
Also true.
So there is that, but I don't know. Reading is just a little. I do. Can I read the synopsis of this book?
Oh yeah. The bodice ripper. That's not just a bodice ripper.
Well, it is pretty, well, it is just a bodice ripper, but it's like a well done, exactly what we're looking for.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm able to read the whole description. So, oh dear, this is okay. So
this is the Victorian woman coming out. She's fanning herself now.
I am fanning. Why am I fanning myself? Okay, this is the synopsis, like on the like Amazon site for it. Oh my god, I have to get myself out. Okay, Usa,
you're fine.
I'm fine. All right. Fine. An education in pleasure.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, now I understand.
Okay, so married young to a man handpicked by her father, Elizabeth, I can't say this fucking name, is an, oh my God, I picked the wrong book.
Yeah, you did.
Is an ideal Victorian lady. She has borne 2 sons and endured 16 years of selfless duty in a passionless marriage.
Oh.
Craving a man's loving touch, yet loyal to her wedding vows, Elizabeth is determined to seduce her coldly indifferent husband. She knows of only one man who can teach her the erotic secrets of love.
Oh, someone else?
A lesson in love. The bastard son of an English countess and an Arab sheik, Ramiel Devington, was reared to embrace both Western culture and Eastern pleasure. Scorned by society and challenged by prim Elizabeth's request, he undertakes her instruction in the art of sensual delight. But when the lessons become a temptation, neither can resist. Elizabeth is forced to choose between obligation and a bold, forbidden passion.
So I feel like we delved a little bit into some like weird Orientalism. I don't. But also this reads like the plot of a Bridgerton series.
It sure does. I have no idea when this came out. It would have been like maybe the 90s.
Oh, so that checks out.
Yeah. I'm looking.
But also literally sounds exactly like eyeballs.
May 28th? No, there's no way. I think this is the newer edition.
Oh.
Yeah.
What does it say?
It says 2013, but I
think
there's no fucking way that description made it through.
No.
When I might be able to find it. Let's see. I think it is.
It's got to be the 90s. Because I feel like that was when there was the whole like erotica revolution.
September 1st, 2000.
Okay, so like end.
Yeah.
I feel like there was still. That's a good segue. The 2000s for YA books.
So that would have been the era of the Princess Diaries.
Yes, and Gossip Girl. Mm-hmm. So that kind of checks out that we have some very questionable things happening. And that's something that me and Jordan wanted to talk about because we were talking about. Okay, so this was our like train of thought. Let me like walk you through this so you're not
it's
why the fuck are we talking
chaotic,
about?
If you couldn't tell. So this episode is pretty much unscripted.
Yeah.
And our other episodes have an outline.
Yep.
And this is what we do when we don't have one.
Yeah, just everywhere. So this was the train of thought so you guys can understand how we got to like Y2K problematic in youth literature. Shonda Rhimes allegedly helped write somehow in some capacity the Princess Diaries 2. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't know that. And then Jordan rhymes in with those are based on books. And I'm like, what? Yeah, that was a whole series written by Meg Cabot. And then I had read a different Meg Cabot book, Airhead. And I was like, yeah, that was like a really problematic series genre of books that were super popular when I was in like middle school. So I just dated myself. If you're older than me, that's fine. Please don't take it personally. I'm sometimes an old person at heart with Gen Z mannerisms. Anyway, a super problematic time for literature. And so that's why we want to talk about it right now, because it's like the Gossip Girl, Mean Girl, white girl elitism thing that was so unhealthy.
It's okay. Yeah. So I think this is before Kindles were available, right? So Meg Cabot, I think, led the charge on like these books because
I would say so.
Like I think Princess Diaries, that movie was like Disney. But it was a huge blockbuster and it put a lot of attention on like that genre. And then we have, like you said, Gossip Girl. So Meg Cabot wrote those books as well as another series called like the Mediator series, which teenage me absolutely loved, like read all those books multiple times. But the heroine of those books, like the Paranormal Activity here is like paranormal activity. So like can see and like manipulate ghosts and stuff. So that's her like power. But she is this entitled, rich, elite girl who attends this private school and has these like designer like shoes and clothes, and she's very mean girl. And like reading that as a teenager, like I didn't think anything of it. And that led to like there were so many books like that where you have the main character is basically all of the qualities that we're trying to move away from, I think.
Yeah, because I just Googled, because there was another book, the It Girl series. Did you ever read that? It's by Cecily von Viegser. And I think it's like vaguely the basis for Gossip Girl, or if it isn't, it is. There's those books, and then there's also The A-List by Zoe Dean. This is like 2003, 2005. There was a couple other ones I saw, but these are all books where like these girls are tearing each other down. They are like abusing their friends. They, have one girl who's like the head it girl. And it's just, I'm so glad we have gone away from this like slightly.
Well, I'm glad that the books that are popular now it's a lot of fantasy romance where it's, I mean, obviously there's still some problematic elements there, right? But this whole focus on being skinny or having the most popular brand name clothing. I mean, that seemed, obviously my memory is altered by the age I was at the time, right? Like I don't know like how much is perception versus reality, but like the rise of Amazon in the 2000s to what we have now, that kind of jives with this obsession with consumerism and image.
Yes. Because that was all, and this was also the era of what was the movie or TV show with Tyra Banks?
America's Next Top Model.
Yeah, it's
Love that
same.
Series.
Yeah,
hated myself for loving that series.
Exactly. Like I used to watch that all the time because it would be like constantly on. But it was just that like inundation, like in the books we read, the TV shows, the movies of like the young, skinny white girl who like, wears all of the fancy brands and clothes and like is mean to her friends. Like that was like it everywhere all the time. And I feel like thankfully we've gotten to a point where we have like curvy characters or like characters of color or
like inclusion and diversity. Not just to have it, but because that's what the world looks like.
Yeah, we don't just have this like one character that's like, okay, she's the same in all of these books and all of these movies. Like good luck if you don't look like this. Like because even the new Little Mermaid, we have like not a white person. Like how incredible that we have moved past that weird fucking white it's just nice because I was traumatized as a kid reading these fucking books.
and you don't realize what you're consuming, like, and that's what makes me hyper conscious of the books that we're talking about that are geared for like young readers. I think about what was I reading at 14 that may have shaped me into who I am now.
Yes.
And thankfully you and I were reading other books as well that like Crown Duel.
Or Graceling.
Yeah.
That was like a fundamental book for me.
Exactly. And so I'm glad that these books aren't a thing anymore, but like the shows are still a thing.
Yep. Like the new reboot of Gossip Girl, I feel like had a lot of those same problems, and I'm glad it kind of fell off and nobody really talks about it. And like Euphoria too, that TV show, I feel like that's kind of like fallen off recently, but like we do not need to revisit the Gossip Girl days.
No,
like that belongs in the past. And I think that's why like me and Jordan even like started this podcast, is like we wanted to highlight the books that are like more inclusive, more realistic, like better written, are like better standards for heroines
that
like,
are good role models for readers.
Yes. Yeah. Instead of like these books that are kind of like pandered on TikTok that are just like, this is not a good representation of like love. This isn't good representation of like diverse people. Like these are not maybe the best books to be like glorifying. Like we went through the days of Gossip Girl and, you know, Meg Cabot and all of these very like kind of books. It's like, how about we show you a better way?
So of the books we've read this season, I think there's been like 13 or so.
I think so.
Right? Like what's the most problematic one that we've read so far?
I would say so the Undying King was like kind of problematic just because of everything that was going on in that one. Also the Elf Tangent was kind of problematic.
It was that had way more than just problematic elements.
Yeah, just the whole
the kidnapping.
Yep. Yeah. Didn't love that.
The writing stuff. I'm gonna get off my elf tangent. I'm just looking at our list here.
I know. Because I feel like there was also like problematic elements of all of the books we read. Well, so that sounds bad, but like things that the author could have done better as far as like inclusivity. And because like I did read this thing on Graceling, how a reader was frustrated. I think this was like a review on Goodreads. A reader was frustrated that Poe's disability, so his like problem when he went blind, was solved with magic, which I totally understand. I didn't even like, and I think that's important of like having inclusive voices and having people like make space at the table for all kinds of voices, because I didn't even think about that. I was like, oh cool, like Poe can see again. But it's like it would have been better had they not tried to solve this disability with magic and just let him like try to figure it out. Like you don't have some like magic button that you can press and all of a sudden everything is like fine again. So it's like there's problematic parts of all of these that could definitely, you know, take some very significant strides in like inclusiveness and like, you know, characters that are maybe like non-binary or characters of color. So I will say that.
So I did not like pre-roll this question with you before I'm asking it of you now. So speaking of non-binary characters and non-traditional characters, we have not yet read a book with a romance angle that is not man-woman.
That is true.
And I'll just say for myself as a reader, I find it hard to read books like that because I struggle to relate to the characters.
That's fair.
And when I read, I want to immerse myself in that world and sit in that main character's head. So I think it's a bit of a struggle for me to want to read something so different. But I know there are so many good books out now that are just that have that elements. Have you read any?
I'm trying to think. So I got halfway through Gideon the Ninth. And the main character of that, it's more like sci-fi than fantasy, I would say. Or I don't know like what genre I would put that in. But the main character is like they always kind of like bypass it. They never really call her like girl necessarily, or maybe they do, but it's like very like, I would say she's probably like non-binary, like and she has like, I think it's called sapphic romance, where it's like two women. But she has this like super fun adversarial relationship with the other girl who's like royalty, and then she's like the paladin or champion, like she's the fighter, and then, you know, the girl that she protects, but that girl is like a total bitch all the time. And so their dynamic is so much fun. And like I only got halfway through it because I was reading the audiobook. And then I got distracted with life. But that was a super fun. It was like out of my genre a little bit, but like just hearing their like bickering and like how much she's like, I fucking hate you. Can you stop being a bitch? And she's like, I'm not a bitch. I'm just like fancy and doing my life. And it's like, you guys belong together. Yeah. So that was a fun one. I feel like I read another one.
I think Tasha Suri, The Jasmine Throne.
Mm-hmm.
I think that might be one I keep seeing. It's on my TBR list.
Mm-hmm.
I think that might be Between Two Women.
Yeah. There's another one, The Iron Throne. Did you ever read that? Or The Iron Butterfly? I am not making any sense right now.
I can't translate.
It's a red. It's a like a golden black cover, and it has the girl on it. Fuck. She's in a 3-person relationship, like polyamory. Yeah. She like doesn't have, I think it starts as a love triangle, and then it's like, we could just all be in a relationship, which cool. I like that resolution of a love triangle more than just like, someone picking someone. God, what is that fucking book? I could not. I will have to come back later and tell you. But that's another one that I've heard like rave reviews about it, and it's on my TBR. I just haven't gotten around to it. Yeah.
So maybe we need to do one for the pod.
Yeah, that would be fun. Mm-hmm. But I do feel like there isn't as much like inclusivity with that as there should be, because I feel like all the booktok books are always just heteronormative relationship, and it's like, how about we kind of like lift up these books that are maybe like not, because just the fact that I'm like struggling to name some, you know what I mean, or even like characters that aren't white.
There was a book that I saw that I almost grabbed, and maybe we can revisit. It's definitely Regency romance, but I was super intrigued by the synopsis.
Iron Widow, that's what it's called.
Oh, I have seen that one come up. Yeah.
Okay, anyway, sorry.
No, okay, so maybe we can do this one, because I think it has come up on a few like to read lists. So it takes place during the Napoleonic Wars, and these two, I don't know if they start out as friends, but these two dudes go off to battle at Waterloo, and one dude who's like an earl or a count or some sort of nobleman, he sees his friend die, I think, and they're like super close friends, and his friend did not die. He faked his death.
Shit.
She wanted to like live her life the way she always felt, which was as a woman. And so she dies and then creates this new life as like a paid companion to like a fancy noblewoman.
Hell yeah.
And she meets her friend later.
Oh my God.
And he doesn't know it's his friend.
Yeah. Holy shit.
I know. I read the description. I'm like, oh, I need that in my life.
That's going to be on my list.
So maybe we read that one.
Yes. Because like Bridgerton, so like full circle back to that, and we can talk about it more in the actual episode. But my favorite fucking like romance that hit me in the face that I was like, I love this, is the romance between the two fucking butlers.
Oh
my God. Yeah. That they don't even have that many lines, but I was rooting for them. I'm like, yeah.
God, that was it was so sweet.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna.
We cannot talk
about it. We will get derailed again. We have to
so
save that for
cute.
the Queen Charlotte episode.
Yes.
Okay. To be continued.
Yes. Because they deserve to be talked about. So cute. And his hair, the tall blonde one.
Oh, I know, right? Like
pompadour. Oh God.
Oh, so a few like listener notes for you all. We've kind of played around with our episode structure and some background noises and how we are handling our reach out.
Oh, fair.
Yeah. So we thought we would use Fable more. There was a few episodes where we lobbied hardcore for some Fable use, and we just have found that it's a little work.
Yeah, it's hard to use. It's not great.
It's not the best interface for what I think we wanted.
Yeah.
I see a lot of readers and book clubs working on it really well, but I don't think it works for us. So we have suspended our Fable. If you were looking for us, please don't look for us there anymore. And we're sorry for misleading you.
Yeah.
But we are still very much on YouTube.
Yes.
If you are not a fan of any of the streaming services that we have our podcast on,
good old YouTube.
YouTube has been around, and it is a faithful dog.
Yep.
So
absolutely
find us there.
Yeah, and we're also on Instagram. If you put the comments there, me and Jordan talk about them every single time because comments are love, and it feels nice to be seen.
Any comment anywhere, like. It comes in, we see the notification. I take a screenshot, I send it to Katie, she does the same thing, and we lose our shit.
Yep, we fangirl.
Yeah, hardcore. So
yeah, I hope you guys know we fangirl about you.
Yes, we love you.
Yes. Yep. That said with the tender, like, yes.
Very much so. Well, it's just, we love connecting with people who want to connect with the same things.
Yes.
Like you said at the beginning with the comment that like we have found our people.
Yeah.
So we are just looking for our people.
That's how this podcast happened. Exactly. So if we can have more people at our table.
Welcome to our Victorian parlor.
I love that.
Oh, well, there we go.
Oh my God. Cause you're like the wacky, I mean that endearingly, but like Victorian woman who like invites all of these, aren't they called like bohemians?
Yes, I know exactly. Yeah. It's like that party that Benedict goes to.
Yes. Yeah. Where all the people are like painting and like getting into
having an orgy in the other room.
Yes.
That's my podcast. Yep.
Okay. Let's caveat that. Not literally.
No. We are just two nerds sitting over a cheese board with a microphone.
But we were talking about, the raunchiest of raunchy books.
Yep. That synopsis, by the way, that we read that I struggled through was for the Ladies' Tutor. If you want to read that.
Because I was thinking as you said that, I'm like, I don't think we talked about like what book that is.
Didn't.
And people are like, can you please like let me know?
What is the name of that book? Robin Schoen is the author.
Because that's also on my TBR list now. Thank you.
It's a cute premise.
It is. Because I love books with like a more mature heroine that has like that's why I liked Entreat Me so much. Because it's like she had a marriage, it was great, but now it's like, okay, I know what I want. Like, are you down with this? And the guy's like, oh, that's an option.
Right? It's because I mean maybe it's our own fault for staying in the genre that we are, which is heavily geared towards younger readers.
Yeah.
We're not going to see a lot of that.
Yeah.
Because again, that speaks to the whole relatability piece.
Which I love that New A is becoming a genre now.
Thank God.
Like, yeah. If I have to read one more time about like a 16-year-old that's losing her virginity, like that is required. That's good books for people that are 16 and like, on the brink of losing their virginity, or like me and waited a really long time. As like that could be me. I would like something a little bit more mature, like maybe, a 22-year-old.
Yeah.
I'm not asking for much.
Oh, God forbid we should get into someone in their 40s.
Oh, Jesus. Could you imagine?
No, I don't think I've read any.
I
have your chick, Elf Tangent chick.
That's what I was about to say. So Lindsay Burke, a lot of her books feature more mature main heroines, and I know that Jordan isn't the best fan of Lindsay Burke.
Just the Elf Tangent. That's
fair.
The other one was good.
That's fair. But if you like steampunk, she has like the Emperor's Edge series. That girl is probably like 35.
Okay.
And then her other series, I think it's called Enigma, is the first book in that series. She's like 45. And it's like she's never been married before, but then she meets someone that's equally like old. I think he's like 47 or something. And they have this like first time relationship. Like, so it's like a older chance at love kind of thing. Like, I just like it because there's a lot less nonsense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like the miscommunication is like fun and keeps me on the edge of my seat. But there's sometimes that I'm like, you guys
roll
could
your
just
eyes.
have
You're like
an adult conversation.
Work through your issues.
Yeah.
So I think it's the built-in insecurities that exist in a lot of these characters. Yeah. Which I mean, everyone can relate to that on some level, but it's like at some point
Yep. Just be I hate using that term like be a man, but I mean that in the like not gender specific, just like buck up and be a person and talk to someone.
Yep. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, we broke out all of the books that we've covered so far into 6 different categories.
Yeah.
As far as like who did better and what. So those categories are readability, the heroine, romance, fantasy world building, writing style, and like problematic elements. And we consistently have a lot of the books in the same category.
We do. Now that I look at it. Yeah.
Or a lot of the same books in different categories. That's the better way to say that.
Fair.
So do you want to talk about readability?
Yeah. So the books that we have in this one are Crown Duel, Graceling, The Serpent and the Wings of Night, Belladonna, and then a girl called Samson. Because I mean, there's sometimes that like for readability, you just want a book that's you don't have to like think about as much, you know?
I think we need, to kind of explain what we mean by readability. Is it's those are the books that keep you up at night, that keep you going. Like you may not love all the characters, but like you are invested in the book and you have to keep going.
Yeah.
There's a certain style of writing, I think, that some authors have and some don't. And I think that's the key here.
Yeah.
The Serpent and the Wings of Night, that was your recommendation, and that one surprised me.
Yeah.
I did not see that coming whatsoever.
Because it's one of those books that you don't have to think too much about it. It's not like crazy too proud and sure of itself, but it's so good. Like the pacing of it, like the readability of it is just like you smashed out in one day and you're like, I am deprived. What is it called? You have a book hangover?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one of those books.
Belladonna was another one like that.
Yeah. Because it's easy to read. You want to like bust it out and just like know what happens at the end.
Yeah. I didn't love the main chick in that book.
I didn't either as much, but it was still had that like intense entrancement where you're like, you need to finish this book or else you're going to be like living in a daydream.
And okay, so I know you haven't read A Girl Called Samson, but dear God, this book is perfection.
Maybe I'll read the one you were talking about with the
you have so many on your TBR list. You have to read Son of the Shadows first.
That, oh my God, I am stressed out.
She's like, let's stop recording so I can go home and start reading. Like that's what this is right now.
The one where the guy fakes his own death and lives his actual life. I'll read that one I'll be.
We have to do that one for the pod.
Oh, okay. So, but I won't read it right now. So maybe I'll read once we read that one, then I'll immediately follow it up with A Girl Called Samson. So I'm in the same like vibe.
Yeah, I like it.
Do you want to talk about the heroine?
I was thinking, but we're going to close out with the best heroines.
Oh,
and
that's
I think
fair.
we're going to, we'll skip over this category. I'll talk about romance.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think the romance in Belladonna, it's enough of that like back and forth. You don't know how it's going to end. Like, you're like, oh, who's she going to end up with? Like, even though you don't really give a shit about the main character, you're like, but
there's so much involved in this.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool romance lines in there.
Yeah. I agree.
And then, I mean, clearly I'm biased, but A Girl Called Samson also has the best romance angle. It's like an equal split, but the romance is so believable between the two and well thought out.
Because that's so important. I feel like some books, the romance is so like instantaneous or like it feels inauthentic that it kind of like rips you out of it. It's like hard to finish. But I feel like Belladonna was so, it's like those two people. This is how I imagine like teachers feel when they have two kids in class that they're like constantly fighting. And it's like, oh, you guys like each other.
Give it like 2 years.
Yeah. That's how I felt when I was reading Belladonna. I'm like, you guys like each other. Just wait.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
So fantasy world building, I'll let you cover because there's a book on here that we haven't said once that we dedicated like 3 or 4 episodes to on the pod.
Yeah. Okay. So books that we have in fantasy / world building is The Serpent and the Wings of Night, The Stardust Thief.
The Stardust Thief.
Yes. Spin the Dawn, and then A Promise of Fire. So the Stardust Thief had its problems, but I will say that the world building in that was so much fun, and it made me mad that the book wasn't more good, so I couldn't enjoy it. You know what I mean?
It made me look for other books with a similar setting.
Yeah, because what was the one that you recommended?
Not this
Thread.
This Woven Kingdom.
Yeah. Excellent. Super similar like setting. And then there was another one too, The Brass Kingdom, I want to say, or The Brass something.
I have, okay, so there's actually one, it's called Daughter of the Salt King.
Ooh.
And it's...
Is that the pirate one?
No, not a pirate one. It's set in a desert setting. There's genies.
Ooh.
And I don't know, and I don't want to get burned. There's only like 100 and something reviews, maybe close to 200 reviews available. So it's like a sleeper, maybe.
Okay. Yeah.
But all of the reviews are really good.
Ooh.
So if anyone has read Daughter of the Salt King, please let us know if it's any good so I can read it.
Yes. So I will say that one had some like really fun world building. And then one that we haven't talked about really either is A Promise of Fire. It's not really like that one. I thought it was kind of cheesy, but the world building was so fucking cool. It was like one of those where like the Greek gods are super involved in people's lives, but it has like a slightly more modern twist. So it feels like more fun, I guess. But I was so disappointed that this like book wasn't as like good as it could have been.
I couldn't even finish it. I couldn't even finish the sample.
Yep, that's fair. Yep. It's you have to hurt to get through it.
No, you don't. You just don't.
But the like world building was so cool and it made me mad because they even have a different character. So you know, like Hades and Aphrodite or Hades and Persephone. So they have like a different twist. So the girl's name's Selene, and she's like the part-time lover of Hades, but he sends like all of his like the Cerberus, the third three-headed dog, to like protect her, and she like comes in to like visit him. And so it's this like fun little like she has like a soft spot for him, but it's like they were such a fun side character that I didn't even so I love that like concept, but it was not that well done. Yeah. Speaking of similar tangents, do you want to talk about writing style?
Yes. We only have 2 books on our writing style. This is how Katie and I operate. We use Excel and we make tables.
Yep, we do.
We have more organization than we know what to do with.
Yes.
So for writing style, we only have Daughter of the Forest and Crown Duel. And I could put A Girl Called Samson on there, but I think it's just a simpler writing style. I feel like Daughter of the Forest is a make you think writing style. It's a make you like, oh, what does that word mean? It's so descriptive and not overly so. It's just enough that the imagery that you get in your mind. By the way, people who can't get imagery in their brains when they're reading, I'm so sorry for you.
Read this book though, because it might be potentially your answer.
There's just nothing that really compares to it. It's like it's literature is what I would.
If that's exactly how I would describe both Crown Duel and Daughter of the Forest, is if you are someone who kind of struggles with like the new kind of era of books, but you like literature, but you still want that like fun romancy fantasy, like I absolutely would say read Daughter of the Forest and Crown Duel. Like it's literature level books, but fun, cute, like relationship building.
Yes, absolutely. And then I think we could probably skip problematic elements.
I feel like we kind of already talked about it.
Yeah, so we'll close with that. We just have the Undying King and the Elf Tangent in there for reasons you already know. We have several episodes dedicated to that.
But again, all of them are kind of problematic in that they're all one type of heroine. So dun dun dun, we have gotten to our heroines.
There's only 2 options, and if you don't know who they are by now, then you shouldn't be listening to us,
or you're very confused. You're like, I don't really know who these people are.
Did you even listen to but also we've been all over the place on this episode.
We have, yes.
But we do want to finish by identifying who our favorite heroine is at this point in our season. I'll leave it to you.
There's 2 different lists that have our best heroines, so maybe I'll leave it to you.
Okay, well,
she's like, her brain is like short-circuiting right now.
It's our best heroine with a caveat, which is I think Graceling.
I would agree.
I think she is the strongest, most well-rounded heroine that sets the best example for a young reader or any reader.
Yes, I agree with that, because I have mentioned it before, but I read this book at a very like, influential point in my life around like the 16, 15 time range. And like, I wanted to be like Katza. And like, there is a little bit of a problematic, like, she's not very emotional and she doesn't like express how she's feeling. But I think her like story arc with Poe and like learning to be a little bit more like that is such a good like example for like young girls or, even like young boys too that have trouble like expressing themselves. And it's like, no, you should find someone you're comfortable with who like is supportive of you and like takes their time and wants to listen to you. But like you should also be like sure of yourself and like proud of your abilities and like can manage, your emotions like Katza is towards the end of the book. It's like that's such a good role model for girls. Like,
yeah. The only caveat that exists for this is that the book can get slow.
Yes. Yeah.
And you don't feel as invested.
I would say so. Yeah. Especially in comparison to our other books.
Yeah. And so that kind of leads us into our other toss-up book, which is obviously Crown Duel. I mean,
book that started it all.
The book, I mean, we started with it for a reason.
Yeah.
So I think Mel, unlike Katniss, she is not super confident. She's not very strong. I think what makes her a great heroine is that she learns and she self-corrects.
Yeah.
And she's very relatable.
Yes. I would say, yeah, like Crown Duel, Mel is like who you are maybe. And then like Graceling and Katza is who you want to be. Like they are both good for different points in your life. Cause like Mel is so relatable. So like everyone has gone through that like moment of like self-doubt and like lack of confidence. And you're like, I can't do this. Like I'm just, some ho-bunk nobility from the forest. I don't know anything. That's probably very obscure. I don't know that anybody else feels that way, myself included. But like we have those moments of self-doubt. So it's like it's such a good, like, she can do it. I can do it.
Exactly. And so she doesn't start out like in the book as a place where like, oh, she's someone like you root for her, but like what she got going for her. But like what comes to mind is that scene like right in the middle of the book where there's a bit of a slump where she's healing and recuperating in the family home, the innkeeper.
Yeah.
And she makes all these kind of realizations about her place in the world.
Yeah.
And has to adjust her expectations to match that.
Yeah.
Which
that's such a good lesson.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I even struggle with that right now. It's like, okay, let's kind of take a look at where things stand. Yeah. But they were all good heroines in their own way. And except some were not as strong as others.
It's okay.
It's fine.
It's fine. That's a good stopping point.
I think it is.
I can't wait for our future books.
I know.
So from our shelf to yours.
We'll see you on the next page. Hi, readers. If you'd like to help us pick our next book, send us a message on Instagram.
Or if you'd like to just listen, we post new episodes every Monday on Spotify, Amazon, or Apple Music. Thanks for listening.